Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in WagerBucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome in to First Pitch, WagerTalk's premier MLB betting show for Monday, June 28th. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined today by Bryan Leonard and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. Guys, we're here every single day, Monday through Friday, on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us live. Huge shout out to the chat box, Nathan, Jessica, Patrick, Buck, all of you guys in here. Welcome in. Feel free to fire out in the chat box whatever you're looking to bet, where you're watching from. It all works. Please smash the like button if you do like the content. First up here, Bryan Leonard from WagerTalk.com. Bryan, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Happy Monday morning to you, and it's a pleasure to be back on the show. And a nice week for me, and hopefully we can continue it.
All right, good week for Bryan. It was a down week for me, Tony. So hopefully we can find some more winners on today's show. But how have you been hitting them, Tony? And welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thank you. My weeks are, pardon me. I'm glad Bryan's having a good week. I didn't have any really bad week, or of course I can't speak all of a sudden either, but wasn't bad, wasn't great. I had I tried to back a couple 5%ers. First 5% was canceled on Friday. And then yesterday I had a big play on the late game, ESPN Sunday night baseball game. I had the under 8 and 6 runs in the bottom of the second. Made that a fortuitous push after 9 innings, if you can believe that. So it was kind of that kind of week. But I'm
a happy hour special here, 5 o'clock with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Colorado Rockies, and we'll finish with best bets, guys. But heading to Mile High here, Bryan. First game up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates, Colorado Rockies, 5:10 Eastern, 2:10 Pacific start here. Tyler Anderson and Kyle Freeland, two southpaws duking it out, minus 115. That's the Colorado Rockies at home. 11.5 the total. Mostly we talk about, guys, 7 o'clock and later games. But this one was so intriguing to me, Bryan. Starting a little earlier here, we're getting Colorado back a Mile High. Interesting travel spot for both teams. Throw it over to you. Interested in getting involved here in Coors Field tonight, Bryan.
I was wondering why we were talking about the Colorado Rockies and the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm looking forward to your analysis on it, because to me, it's one of the least interesting games on the card. Everybody talks about Colorado
just be
being
quick
so
with
terrible
it,
on the road, but Pittsburgh's not much better. They're a lousy team on the road, but they do have the better pitcher going here in Tyler Anderson. If you're looking at the StatCast numbers, StatCast is basically, if you're elite, you're like a dark pink. If you're pretty good, you're a light pink. And if you're pretty bad, you're a light blue. And if you're real bad, you're a dark blue. Well, Tyler Anderson's anywhere from the light blue to the dark pink. So basically, he's doing pretty well. He's really good at his baseball balls percentage is 6.3, which is elite. His hard hit percent, 35.8, which is very good. And his exit velocity of 88.1 is very good. Take a look at Kyle Freeland. All you see is blue. And the bad blue is his ex-WOBA at 392, his ex-batting average at 287, ex-slugging 559, and his strikeout percentage is only 14.8. So from a pitching standpoint, you got to like the Pirates a little bit here, but you also have a team that has not performed well on the road. And we've talked about the Rockies at home. They're terrific. On the road, they're terrible. So it's a situation for me where the line I thought was where it should be. So I'm not going to get involved here, but I'm glad it's the only day game because I don't have to watch it.
Yeah, singled out game here, Tony. I guess baseball fans would like to bet on it, but we got 25-16. That's the Colorado Rockies at home, Tony. 25 wins, 16 losses. And sure enough, Bryan hit it on the head. Terrible on the road. 6-31, Tony. That's their road record. I've never seen a discrepancy like this. So I wanted to bet on Colorado, having them come back home. I mean, Pittsburgh traveling from St. Louis, now going to Coors, no off day here. I think it's a tough spot for the Pittsburgh side. But like Brian mentioned here, Freeland, I mean, 7.76 ERA. He has not been good at all. Now, Pittsburgh doesn't hit lefties well, so maybe this is the spot where he does find it, Tony. Throw it over to you. What are you thinking here, Rockies and Pirates tonight?
Only the Tigers have a lower OPS versus lefties than the Pirates do coming into today. The Rocks do their best work against left-handers in terms of offensive efficiency, and they're at home. So Anderson, he bounced back from a poor showing against the Nats with a quality outing against the White Sox. But entering Tuesday's start, having pitched fairly well recently, means very little. It's Coors, Anderson stuff that he had. Listen, this guy that throws a little bit short of 90 miles an hour, got a 1.6 home run in basically a 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. Tuesday's results, they were foreseeable in the most part. He surrendered a big bottom of the first and then pitched allowed one more run in the following 5. But Brian hit it on the head. This is a game that probably is best suited for degenerates that are just looking for a play. Unless you find an angle that I didn't find or Brian didn't find, you're supposed to play the Rockies here. I mean, the Rockies are at home. They actually hit left-handers better than. I mean, that's their best scenario, and you get a Pittsburgh team that's always a gamble. It's always a crapshoot with them because you don't know if they're going to score. I played them once this past week. I like the situation, and they lost 3-1 because they just can't put runs. They can't get guys across the plate. So I'm a pass on this unless you can convince me otherwise.
All right, let me throw out a stat to you, Tony, and see if this convinces you otherwise, because I was looking to be on the Rockies here just for all of their home road splits, coming back home, tough spot for Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh doesn't hit lefties. Now, Freeland not having the best ERA, not really being a good pitcher overall is one thing keeping me off of it. And then digging a little bit deeper here, we got Tyler Anderson going for the Pirates. He was drafted in 2011 by the Colorado Rockies. He actually has 41 games pitched in Coors Field. Slightly under 500, but his OPS against is only 770. His ERA actually at 4, a whip of 1.3 here in Coors Field. So his numbers a mile high are actually not bad. And that's what kept me off of betting the Colorado Rockies personally, just because I think that matters, past performance in the stadium, especially when it's Coors Field. So that's enough to keep me off of it, unless, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it. Do you factor that in enough to keep you off of the Pittsburgh Pirates against lefties, tough travel spot a mile high here? So, Tony, anything quick on that?
Quickly, it matters. I think you're absolutely 100 spot on. It does matter. It's what's funny about that is that you were basically the numbers you're saying, hey, they're not too bad. A 770 OPS is a damn good OPS if that's your offensive OPS as a team. You know what I mean? So, and the 1.3 whip, et cetera, the 4 ERA, it is Coors Field. Those are acceptable. And if you're going to give me, if I'm going to jump on some reason to support Pittsburgh, I think those would be good reasons.
Okay, and anything quick in recap here, Brian?
Yeah, I definitely think if a guy's pitched that long in Coors Field, he knows about it a little bit, and he's had some success. That's something that you want to keep in mind. Although I would say, since he's changed organizations, he does pitch a little bit differently than he did then. But still, to have that in your past history, you got to feel pretty confident going back to a place where you used to pitch as the home team. So, good point. That's a good stats.
Okay. And guys, we got 3 games left, best bets at the end. So Tony, next game up here, we're going to head to the Northeast Yankees Stadium. We get the LA Angels and the New York Yankees. We get Dylan Bundy versus King going for the Yankees here. Minus 155 price tag on the Yanks right now. They have taken a little money throughout the day, 10.5 being the total here. High total, this one on MLB Network, 7:05 Eastern here, Tony. You interested in getting involved with the Angels and Yankees?
I'm not interested. I was involved with the Yankees yesterday, and I just to make a long story interesting, but long story short, and that is that if you saw Cole pitch yesterday and his previous start, then I think we all have to be a little bit concerned that he was depending on Tack. I mean, I'm not saying that those two games, those two results are the end all to who Cole is going to be moving forward. I just think we have to. It's got to be investigated. If you're making investments in the Yankees, you need to invest it because the Yankees aren't scoring many runs, guys. They're just not scoring. Bottom line, can they score against Bundy? They sure as heck should be able to score against Bundy. He's been a major disappointment. Whether you're a gamer, a fantasy owner, a player, whatever the case may be, a guy that only striking at 22%, 11% swinging strikes rate, it's just not going to work. It's not going to fit in today's environment. Unless the substance abuse police that are roaming around Major League Baseball. Foreign substance police that are roaming around Major League Baseball now. If you saw yesterday, I thought it was it is a circus that Major League Baseball is or likes to be at times when they like to point everything to the players and redirect that finger. We got what we deserved, or they deserved yesterday, and to me, it was embarrassing. As far as King goes, he's making his fifth start, guys, since taking over for Corey Kluber, his spot in the rotation. He did hold Kansas City to 2 runs in 4 2/3, but he really Chad Green bailed King out in that game too. This is a game that I have absolutely zero feeling for, Drew, and it is a game that, when at first glance, I had no problem just kind of going right by it. In fact, probably saved myself an hour of digging, trying to find some reason to play this game. I have not. And if for the audience, if I had a lean, it would be on King, just because he's more of a unknown to the Angels than Bundy is to anyone. So that would be my lean.
All right, and Brian, what are you thinking tonight in Yankee Stadium?
I think it'll be a high-scoring game. The only problem is it's been bet up that way ever since it opened. It opened at 9.5, 9, and now we're seeing 10s and 10.5 out there. So a lot of people are looking at the same thing we're looking at. Dylan Bundy, he's good in 2 regards. His hard hit percentage is only 37.3%. His walk percentage is 7.2%. But in his career, it's all been about the home runs. And he's having another one of these years this season where he's giving up a lot of home runs. He doesn't give up a lot of hard hits, but when somebody barrels them up, they hit them very well. And that's something you have to be concerned with when you're playing in Yankee Stadium. Now, that short right field porch, he throws the ball outside and the guy just sticks his bat out there and he can give up some cheap home runs. That's a concern. Michael King, I talked about earlier about, the StatCast page. His entire page is blue or light blue. He has not pitched well. His walk percentage is 10.2%. So he's a guy that walks a lot of players, puts people on base, and is playing in a stadium that gives up some long balls. I prefer the Angels side in this game from a side standpoint. I do like the over. I'd prefer the over more in an earlier number. But the Angels are a team on the road here. To me, they've got the better pitcher, even though the ERA won't say that with Bundy because he's been terrible this year. But when you take a look at his advanced numbers, he's the better pitcher than King. So it's a slight lean with the Angels, very slight lean with the over. But for my clients, I'm not involved with either side here.
He's Brian Leonard at WagerTalk.com. We also got Tony Finn at the site as well. It's $9 Monday, guys. Great day to check out WagerTalk.com. It's every play, even 5%. Top-rated plays discounted to just $9. I am Drew Martin, your host. First pitch, Monday through Friday, each and every weekday, 1:45 Eastern time, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Also on Twitter as well. Guys, Tony, you just talked about it. In terms of the substance abuse, what Hector, the pitcher for the Mariners here, the first guy down in terms of getting caught, looks like a 10-day suspension, even though I don't think that they've proved that there was a foreign substance on his glove. They just put it in the bag and they're sending it away. Is that correct, Tony?
That's accurate. I mean, I think you should just plan on, if anyone gets ejected, there is an automatic 10-day suspension that comes along with under the new guidelines and the new rules that they have. Not only do they get suspended for 10 days, but the roster's reduced by one because you can't replace that person. And that was another one of the incentive, or at least one of the slaps on the wrist or slaps on the butt that the league wanted to give to hopefully the powers that are, the coaching staffs, whatever the case may be in the situation, would be a little stronger, or at least push a little harder to not have those substances part of the mound in their game. So that said, Drew, I mean, it's the first one. We're going to get an appeal. You're going to get an appeal. Everything will be appealed. So again, I wrote about this yesterday. I wrote about it in my MLB power rankings. This is so status quo for Major League Baseball. They have a history of avoiding and ignoring things until it does some kind of a damage to their brand, and then they're masters of turning it around onto the players. I mean, these are kids, guys. You let your kids get away with something for so long, they'll continue to push the envelope until you say something to them, and here we are.
Yeah, and Brian, I mean, Hector Santiago becomes the first MLB pitcher ejected under new foreign substance protocols. He's saying that it was just rosin and sweat, and it was a sticky substance that way, which he's allowed to do. So it's going to be interesting how this kind of plays out over the next, couple days until we figure out what it actually is, Brian.
Yeah, I don't like it because you're accusing somebody of cheating, and he's going to be suspended without the information. So it make a lot of sense to me. The humidity was 90%. You're going to be sweating. You're using a rosin. When you're sweating and you're using rosin, things are going to be sticky. That's just the way it is. And he's a guy who's been in the league a long time. He's a relief pitcher. He's not one of those guys that jumps out at you. Oh, we got to trade for that guy. So it's not a situation where you've got one of your elite players that are doing it. So I think it's going to come back, and they're going to realize that this whole process is going to be a guessing game. I don't think there's anything illegal in it, but somebody's got to be the first. So it happened, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. And the worst part is losing the one spot, as Tony mentioned, for 10 days. You can't bring somebody up to replace them. So the way that baseball is anymore, you need as many players as you possibly can get. So I think it'll be interesting how this works out.
Sure. And guys, if you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a line below on YouTube. Hector Santiago, what do you think happens here over the next couple days? Do you think it was rosin and sweat, or I guess an illegal foreign substance? It will be interesting to see what happens. Shout us out in the chat box. We also got Nathan joining us here saying, Shotani getting a field day talking about the Angels and the Yankees. King going to be called a queen by the end of the game. So good one there, Nathan, in the chat box talking about the Angels and Yankees game. We got 8:10 Eastern start for our next game here, Brian. The Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers. Hopefully you like this one. This is an intriguing handicap. We got Hendricks and Peralta. Peralta's been good, Brian. Minus 145, 7.5 the total. Now they opened minus 138 in the world openers here, Brian, and they've kicked up here to minus 140. I actually thought it would be more with this Sunday night fade going on with the Cubs, getting knocked around here by the Dodgers last night, and then having to travel here on the road against the Brewers. Brewers waiting for them at home. I like the Brew Crew. Throw it over to you, Brian. What are you liking tonight in Milwaukee?
Yep, I'm in agreement with you. Freddie Peralta's leading baseball with a 192 BABIP. So there's going to be some regression coming. If you take a look at his xFIP numbers and Sierra and all that, he's pitching over his head. But as we saw with John Gant for St. Louis, and Dave Koken made this comment earlier, he says, as long as he can get away with it, what he's doing, I'm going to back him. But until it gets to the point where it starts falling apart, and it has for Gant, he's actually out of the starting lineup now. He's pitching out of the bullpen for St. Louis at this point, and St. Louis needs any pitching they can get. So the shitheaded fan, as they say, and we made money going against him since. Until that happens, I'm not going against Freddie Peralta. You look at all of his lines in the StatCast, he's elite for the xWOBA, the x-batting average, x-slugging, strikeout percent. The only thing Hendricks is elite about is something he's been elite his entire career, and that's not giving up walks. His walk percent is 4.6. So Hendricks is pitching a lot better now than he was earlier in the season, but Peralta's been elite all season long. Yes, he's living on borrowed time, but I'm not standing in the way of it. I like the under here, although the line at 7 is too low for me to be able to play. I think there's value on Milwaukee. I'm with you. I think this is the side in this game, and get it now before it goes up any higher.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised, Tony, that it hasn't gone up any higher. Like Brian's kind of alluding to here. I thought that this would jump up, 10, 20 cents, just kind of playing line projector here, but it really hasn't. Maybe a 5, maybe 10-cent move at the most here, Tony. What are you thinking tonight in Milwaukee?
No, everything Brian said is fairly accurate. I mean, Hendricks is elite not only in command and being able to command his arsenal. It's in soft contact too. He commands it well enough. He knows where to pitch to specific hitters. He's kind of that maestro on the mound. He's never going to wow you. He's never going to. You're never going to hear anyone in the stands go ooh ah because he just threw a sizzling fastball by somebody. It's not going to happen. But he knows how to pitch, and he's shown us that for years and years and years. And this year has been pretty good. Peralta, his one hiccup is if it's the wrong umpire and he's not commanding his stuff, then he's not going to be elite. And although this year he's just been over the top. I mean, look at his numbers from game to game, total, the totality of what he has been this year has been fantastic. And I agree with you guys. Minus 140 seems like a steal right here, but both of these teams, both of them, and they are not reliable offensively. That's the biggest issue. So I passed, although I would, as Brian said, be on Milwaukee and Peralta if I was under the gun.
And shout out to the chat box here. Rara bringing in the heat with this stat, saying not so fast with the Brewers. Hendricks is 8-0 plus 8.5 units on the money line, playing against a team with a winning record this season. So that's a heck of a stat there, Rara, in terms of he's performs well against really good teams. Might be something here towards Hendricks. And a lot of times, tough travel spots here, guys. The starting pitcher will actually go like the day before, not travel with the team. So that could even speak more so to the under because the lineup might be up against it, travel wise, but the starting pitcher, he actually, and I don't know in this case, it's not every time. I haven't seen anything. That's actually tough information to get. Brian, you might know something more about this than me in terms of the starting pitcher in a tough travel spot, leaving the day before, going ahead of the team. Do you know if that happened?
Oh, yeah, that definitely happens. Quick story. I might have told you this before, but back when I lived in Cleveland, and the Indians celebrated their first divisional title in forever. And I had friends that were out, and they saw some of the players. They were drunk off their ass. And so the next game, I bet against the Indians. Well, it turned out Chad Ogier was the pitcher for the Indians. He didn't go out. He'd already traveled to the next game. And so he wasn't drunk, whereas everybody else was drunk, and he threw like a 2-hitter, and the Indians won 1-0. So there definitely is situations where the pitcher for the next day is either goes ahead or he's not involved with the celebration. So it does happen, but yeah, that's usually what they do is they send him one day early.
Yeah, something to watch there, guys. And good stat there, Rara. Shout out to the chat box for good stuff coming in today. And guys, like always, if you're liking the content, please smash that like button. It does help us out. We got last game on the card until we hit best bets here, Tony. It's the nightcap, 10-10 Eastern, degenerate special of sorts. But I wouldn't call it too degenerate here. This is a good one in the NL West. Anthony Desclafani going for the Giants. We get Trevor Bauer going for the Dodgers. 2 righties, minus 170 is what we're seeing now on the Dodgers. So the Giants have taken some money throughout the day here, Tony. 8 being the total, 75 degrees in Dodger Stadium. Last game on the card. A lot of tickets written on this one, Tony. What do you like in Giants and Dodgers tonight?
The schedule that we had for the show, I found the first time I glanced at it, I said, man, I'm just not going to be, not that I'm a huge contributor anyway, but I'm going to be pathetic today because Bauer's another one of those guys. Listen, I had a lesson learned yesterday, if I can confess such, and that is that I hemmed and hawed about Cole. Yesterday I thought the line was short. I played them minus 1.5 against Boston and Rodriguez, with Cole getting even money on the run line at Fenway after, and it just seemed to be the time. It just seemed to be the right time that the Yankees are due to beat the Red Sox. They've been it is one of the rivalries we have in baseball. So But Cole wasn't good. And so, again, first glance at this game, guys, and I see Bauer, and I don't want to say that the league, listen, I don't talk in favor of Major League Baseball. I don't talk highly about them, anything they do. I think that their ownership believes they're entitled. You see lots of NFL, lots of NHL, a lot of NBA owners publicly doing things for players, communities, etc. And I'm not saying this applies to every single MLB owner, but you don't see that much from MLB. And not only do the owners kind of, I feel like a little bit crusty, the high-paid MLB players are the same way. So do we see is Major League Baseball willing to embarrass Bauer? Do they want to embarrass Bauer? He's been pretty vocal and been, about a level playing field, all those things. But I believe if there's anybody using tack in Major League Baseball that has spoken against other players using something, he'll argue. Guys, he'll argue. He'll say, listen, all I've ever asked for was a level playing field. Well, I don't know. You got a San Francisco Giants team that I think is pitched far above their pay grade. If anybody's using something, this group of guys must be using something, because if you look at their historical numbers compared to what they've done this year, they have player after player injured, and they're still best record in baseball, guys. Belt, I wondered how long it was going to be before he hit sidelines, and here we are. Belt's out. That's a big deal, and they just have listen. They have guys that are hurting out. They continue to play well. Can you pick something out here? Can you play San Francisco? Can you bet against Bauer with D on the mound? And if you look at the numbers, you'd probably say, no, I can't. But there'll be people who play against it, and it's a toss-up to me. I'm sorry I've kind of rambled on, because I find this game intriguing as hell. I find San Francisco intriguing as could be, and I will follow them till the last day of the year and probably still have questions.
Yeah, I mean, they have been surprising this year, Bryan. And at this point, talking about Dave Koken and his thoughts last week, it's not a fluke anymore. We're to the midway point. We're almost, a game or two away from the 80 game mark now. They're in first place. I mean, they're the first place team in the NL West. Now they are on the road here. Both teams really good against righties, and both bullpens are very good. You got to factor that in, guys. These two teams are good, mainly because, or a big reason why, is because of their bullpens. I have them both ranked top 5 bullpens here, Bryan. Likely going to come into effect at some point in the later innings. DeSclafani's numbers against the Dodgers aren't great, but Bauer, like Tony talked about, what are we getting with Bauer going forward? I don't know. What do you think of tonight in the nightcap, Bryan?
A lot of good points being made. Trevor Bauer in the month of June, and 50 is the league average in game scores. Starting June 6th against Atlanta was a 51. Against Texas, of all teams, a 41. Arizona, 76 when Arizona was on that terrible losing streak. And against San Diego, 56. So he has been good. He has been better than average, but he hasn't been Trevor Bauer. And his spin rates have been down. And other than Cole's a guy who gives up a lot of home runs. He gave up 3 home runs yesterday, right down the middle of the plate. That's why he looked bad yesterday. He's had ups and downs since this whole thing started. I'm not freaking out about Cole yet. But Bauer is an excellent pitcher, but he hasn't quite been up to that level as of late. His last 7 starts, 3.05 ERA on the season, 2.57. DeSclafani has been a guy I've been backing all season long. Whereas Bauer's last 7 starts is a 58 game score. Anthony DeSclafani's a 56. But as you mentioned, against the Dodgers, his first time out against the Dodgers this year, he goes 2.2 innings, gives up 10 earned runs, game score of 0. Last time out, better against the Dodgers, but still a game score of 45. So he hasn't pitched nearly as well against the Dodgers as he had against most teams. So you have to consider that situation. Was it just that one really bad start? And hey, a 45 at Dodger Stadium isn't bad. I'll take that against that offense pretty much any day. But that first one where he really got bombed and they kept him in the game too long, that is something to be concerned about. Now, on the season, he's just been terrific. And if you take a look at his stats from the StatCast viewpoint, he's right up there with Bauer. Bauer's better, but DeSclafani's been very good. From a batting standpoint, I like this Giants offense. The Giants are playing well. They've got some guys that are out. They've got other guys that come in, and they continue to to ride the train from base to base. They're playing very well. And I think the Giants have some value here. I think the line's a little bit priced a little bit too high. And Tony kind of hit on that with the Bauer situation, with what we're seeing now compared to earlier in the season. I love Trevor Bauer. I love him being an outspoken player, and I like everything he does. But the stats show you that he has been slightly better than average since this whole thing started. And I don't want a slightly better than average pitcher laying this kind of number here against the San Francisco Giants. I will take San Francisco. That's a play for me.
All right, the Giants as the underdog in the nightcap. Brian Leonard's look here, guys. Make sure to check him out. Experts page at Wager Talk. Brian Leonard, #1 at Wager Talk over the last 4 years in MLB baseball. So you're looking for some long-term trends. He obviously knows his stuff. It's $9 Monday, so great day to check out the website. Brian Leonard, a good one to check out here, guys. Time for best bets. Last segment of the show. Tony, I like your best bet, buddy. Where are you heading? Let the people know. Tony, I think we got you on mute here.
Yeah, my bad. Where am I heading? I'm heading to a game that probably isn't on the mind or on the card of most, and that would be, where am I heading? I'm sorry, I've just blinked up here on my screen. We got a Detroit game. We have a Detroit game that is basically presenting a guy who a lot of people don't know about. Both of these pitchers in this contest, they don't know much about. If you looked at the total in this, I saw some 10s last night that interested me a whole lot. And the number is 9.5 right now, currently. I don't see it unless you guys see something that I don't see. The total in this Detroit matchup is 9.5, which I think, considering the pitchers, is a little bit high as well. And Morgan is a guy that's always going to be a question mark here, at least for early on. And it's amazing how some of these totals today, for instance, are a reflection of what we're just talking about, and that is this tack. Is this tack going to be something that it is summer? It's warming up. The balls are going to travel a little bit more than they have in April and in May. I think you guys would both agree. But I'll get right to the point here. Matt Manning for Detroit. This is a guy that he is one of the Detroit's top pitching prospects. He was one that was looked at as being somebody who could contribute to this Tigers team. Early in the season, he experienced home run issues at AAA Toledo. 11 long balls, 32 and third innings. He's been better at the Major League Baseball. They decided to go ahead and bring him up. He's been better with the parent club. Eli Morgan. The Tigers are no longer a complete pushover, as far as their batting lineup goes. So Morgan's 10.32 ERA, 1.68 or 1.7 WHIP. He did strike out 9 with no walks in his last start, 5 innings at Wrigley Field. I really think that this game is much lower scoring than the odds makers have it listed, and I believe they think that as well. And I'm on under 9.5 in Cleveland, which is Brian's stomping grounds in this Tigers and Indians matchup.
Okay, under 9.5 Tigers and Indians for Tony's best bet. I actually thought we were lining up, so I'll just take it here. We got the Cubs and the Brewers, guys. Milwaukee Brewers -140 is what you can get them at right now. We're using the Sunday night baseball fade here with the Cubs playing last night in LA, losing that game, now having to travel to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just waiting for him here, guys. And if I told you a first place Milwaukee Brewers team, yep, up 5 units on the season if you were betting them each and every game this season, and laying a -140 price tag, I don't like to do that very much here, but with the Sunday night fade, Peralta on the hill. Peralta's been good here, guys. I think that using this to our advantage is worth a shot at the -140 price tag for the Milwaukee Brewers. Joe Ranieri threw me on it last night. I'm surprised the line hasn't moved more since then. That's when I got on it personally, but still, -140. Use it for our advantage here in the favorite in Milwaukee. So, Brian, finish us off here for best bets tonight.
Yeah, I had the same note as you did. I thought he was going to come in on Milwaukee. I thought we were going to get a 3-fer. I'm taking an ugly underdog in the Arizona Diamondbacks here. The lazy handicapper would tell you that Arizona is 4-15 on the season versus lefties. But if you take a look at the WRC Plus, they're at 101 on lefties, 97 in the month of June. They haven't faced many lefties, but when they face a lefty, they've been very good. Now, Ketel Marte is not going to be playing tonight. They say he's questionable. I can't see him going out there on the field, so he's probably their best player, and he will not be there. But you got an Arizona team that I think is going to be a money-making machine the rest of the season. They've got a lot of veterans on this team. They're pretty good players. Some of them may be traded. A lot of younger guys coming out here for Arizona. And I just don't trust St. Louis. You take a look at the StatCast numbers in this game. Faria's going to start for Arizona. He's just going to be going for an inning or two. His guy hasn't started a game since 2018. But I prefer the bullpen for Arizona here. Their best bullpen guys did not pitch yesterday. You got Wade LeBlanc going for the Cardinals. Wade LeBlanc is one of these guys that continues to be thrown out there every year and gets pounded every single year. Lefty against Arizona. Arizona hits lefties. Don't let somebody tell you that they're only 4-15 against lefties. They hit lefties. It's the pitching that hasn't done well for them. So I like Arizona in this situation. There's no way in hell I can back a St. Louis team who is 2-8 their last 10 games. The same 2-8 record as Arizona has. And they just played Pittsburgh and Detroit and lost 5 of 6 games. Once again, Pittsburgh and Detroit, 2 of the worst 4 teams in baseball, along with the Orioles and the Rockies. And they lost 5 of the 6 games. They're not hitting the ball at all. You go over their last 10 games. They've got 1 game over 4, and they got 2 games over 3. They're just not hitting whatsoever. I don't want them as a favorite here. Give me Arizona. They win this game. And this is my baseball play for the day, so don't buy my baseball play. I do have 2 plays up in basketball and hockey, 1 in each, and we're tearing it up in the playoffs. 70% or better in both the NHL and NBA in the playoffs. So get those up for $9 Monday. But my best baseball play is the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Bryan Leonard, $9 Monday. NBA playoff is up. So you heard his best bet there, guys. In recap for the best bets, before we shut this down, please smash the like button. Over 300 people watching live. We do appreciate it, guys. We get Tony Finn actually on the under in the Detroit-Cleveland game, yes. Under of 9.5. I'm on the Brewers -140. Bryan Leonard, Diamondbacks +155. Dog barking there in the Arizona Diamondbacks. So for Bryan Leonard, Tony Finn, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for joining us live. And if you're watching on replay, that works too. Feel free to leave a comment below. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Best of luck with your bets until then.
Known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk's.
Hey, good cover on that. I looked over. I didn't put I changed my best bet really. And when you went to me on the best bets, for some reason, every screen I had was frozen. I was trying to talk my way through. I couldn't. So I didn't have